afternoon, and welcome to the Thrive series by Grad Partners. Today, we have with us national winners of Sunzu, an Avalon case competition. Vyshna, Vyshna R, Vigneshwaran C, and Vaibhav from IIM Mumbai. They will be introducing to you about their journey throughout the Sunzu case competition. So I would like to hand over to you guys to take this session forward and a little speak about yourselves.
Thanks, Abe, for introducing us. Maybe I will quickly introduce myself. Hi, I'm Vigneshwaran. I'm currently part of strategy and program management in Tata Electronics, driving India's first semiconductor projects. I did my internship through TAS and I did my MBA from IIM Mumbai. Prior MBA, I have 5 years of versatile experience across strategy, operations, and supply chain. Vaishna, you can introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Vyshna. So I'm also MBA graduate from IIM Mumbai. I currently work as a management consultant with Avalon Consulting, and I have a couple of years of work experience before MBA with Carborundum Universal. And yes, so I'm a chemical engineer. That is from my side. So I think one of our team member is not yet joined. So let's get started. And once he joins in, we will give an introduction. He can give an introduction about him. It might
Yeah,
take us some little time for him to join. So yeah, so I think we can move forward.
so just let me give you the flow of the masterclass. So first, we would like you guys to introduce about the Sunzu case competition and your journey throughout the case competition. How many rounds were there? And later on, you can talk about the case problem. And after that, we can go ahead with the presentation or solution from your side.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can go ahead.
Vignesh, yeah, yeah. So yeah. Yeah. So, in terms of case competition, so I think you guys would have a good understanding of what a case competition is now, since you're in the second year. So me and Vignesh, we both have been part of different case competitions. So one that Avalon stands out from other case competitions is that so Avalon want to give a case problem which was a client situation. So this is not something which was hypothetical. So it was a client situation which we already solved. So we have kind of masked few information or made few informations kind of complicated for you guys. So you have to think from a consultant's toe. So that is the baseline of the case competition from Avalon. So in this case competition, there will be 3 rounds. So in round one, you will be required to provide a bit about the issue tree that you have created, the hypothesis that you have built, and a little bit of background about the industry which you're working on. And once you get a short list, then you will be moving on to round two. So in round two, a little bit of more explanation towards the issue tree that you have built. What is the real issue? How you're going to solve it? So it will be a bit of explanation oriented round, and they will be giving more information in round two. And again in round three, will be given more data points and information. So once you start getting these data points and information, you need to kind of mix and match your solution what you've built in round one or round two. So that how it will go across. So I think there'll be some 8 to 10 teams will be shortlisted for the national finals. And one more thing is, so I think Avalon gives 4 different cases to choose from. So one thing straight shot is that it is not at all. It is not a deciding factor on you're going to the next round or not. So there is a normalization that will be happening across cases, and we don't see one case to be a tougher one, another one to be easy one. So it's like all the 4 cases are one-on-one to each other. It's not like we take more people from this case or that case. So that doesn't affect your chances. So you can go ahead with whichever one you want. So I don't want to explain much about which case to choose now, because I think it's already 10 days past the cases are out. It's just 3 or 4 days left for you guys to go on with your submission. So we'll just start off with how to approach the case. So Vignesh, if you could just go to the next slide. Yeah. So first thing is reading a case is art. So that's what it is. So even when you come inside wherever, whichever managing consulting firm you work for, understanding the client situation is of core importance. So here you won't get an opportunity to directly interact with the client, but you will be given a problem statement. So you have to read it multiple times until you have a clear understanding of the problem statement. So what I would suggest is start segmenting the issue when you read the case. Read the case for 5 6 times, understand it thoroughly, then take a highlighter. I would always suggest take a soft copy of it. Sorry, take a hard copy of it. Have a couple of markers of different colors, so you can highlight the cases into three problems. One is critical, very important, and important. So whichever issue you feel is critical to the business, underline it with a different color. Very important with another color, and important with another color. So in this manner, you will not miss out on any of the issue. So even if it's a very small issue, it will come into the important category. So it is a straight shot methodology to bucket your issues. So that's one part. So once you do the color coding, next you can bucket it. Critical, very important, and important. Then you can look at a MECE approach. There can be some issues which can be imperative to one another. For example,
Uh,
if I say,
Sorry, Vyshna.
uh, yeah,
Could you please explain about the MECE approach as well? Most of the students
yeah,
are
yeah,
not
yeah,
aware.
sure, sure. Yeah, I'll come to that. I'll come to that. So yeah, so about the MECE approach, I'll give a detailed explanation when we come to the issue tree. So
Okay.
here, what I would like to highlight is bucketing the problems, issues, and also ensuring that there are no overlapping issues. For example, if there is a problem statement or a issue that the capacity utilization of the company is lower, so it is imperative that the fixed cost per output will be higher because your capacity which you're producing is lower. So you should not put this as two different issues. Even if it's there in the case, you need to have understanding that, okay, so this issue is because of that issue. So you also need to understand what is the cause and the effect. Once you bucket these issues, find the cause from your thought process, understand what could be the potential cause for this issue, and how can this issue impact your business. State this in a clean word file or write it down, whichever is good for you. Like all the issues, do a cause and effect analysis. So once you do this, you'll have a consolidated understanding and a holistic approach to move forward. So going forward, yeah. So this is again a thumb rule framework for any consulting company. So one is that SCQA we call it. So the situation, complication, question, and the answer. So this is a beautiful representation for your introduction slide. If you want to, you can give a little bit of space for this in your introduction. So basically, you can explain what is the current situation of your client. So what are the kind of complications that he is going through? So what is the key questions that you're going to answer to the client? And what can be a hypothetical answer? So that is something which will come to the later part. So you can keep the introduction up to the question part. This is just a framework, an example for you guys. Yeah,
Yes.
moving.
Before just moving on, I would like to add furthermore. See, usually for the first round, the initial details given will be very less, right? You can color code it and you can make a note of key points and all. And another key is read the case multiple times. Don't just stop with one or two times. Read it multiple times. Pay attention to each and every word. Also, don't directly jump into the objective with mere one or two times of reading, because if the entire agenda itself is wrongly understood, then it may not be end you in a good somewhere, right? So if let's take, if three of you or four of you in a team, each of you write your understanding of the case objective, what has been given, what has been asked in the case, later discuss together and arrive a final objective and approach. Also, I would like to state, from here the problem definition and all is there, right? Initially focus more on the content message rather than the write-ups or presentation, because whenever if any of us approach a case competition, we will directly open the template slide, start to put details over and all. Ignore that. Initially, just write whatever the thought process you have in a rough PPT or a word file. Don't focus on how to put or the order of slides and all. That can be done at the later stages.
Yeah. So the first thing that you have to do in the round one is creating an introduction slide. So the introduction slide will revolve around the industry background, the problem statement, and the key deliverables. So just now I showed you a small framework to show the problem statement and key deliverables, the SEQA method, which you can use there. So when you talk about industry background, some of the factors that you can include are you can read about the industry, the market size, the kind of competition that's playing in, how what are the different type of products which have been which will be produced in this industry, and what is the cost structure of the industry, what is the revenue model, and what are the emerging trends that are currently in this industry. So to do this, you can actually do a primary research or a secondary research. It is based on your time and how efficiently you work. So one thing is annual report. So for example, if you're going to look at a cement industry, so it is very well known that Ultratech Cement or Ambuja ACC are the market leaders. So you can just look at who is a listed player, go into their annual report, and you'll get everything there. So that's one way to understand the industry, the market size, and the competition. And second thing is there'll be a lot of expert blogs. You can look at LinkedIn and other weekly editorials of different industries. That, for example, in steel you have All India Steel Manufacturing Association. Those reports. So look for those kind of reports which are association oriented with editorials where experts will give their take on the industry. Look for research paper. Go to Google Scholar. It can also give you a little bit of information over there. Understanding the cost structure, the revenue model, research papers will definitely help. And if you have a good alum network or if you have a good connection in LinkedIn, try to get the expert interview if you're able to. That will be brilliant. Then you can also look at news articles, recent news articles to look at the emerging trends or how the market is evolving. So these are uh, things that you can look at. So this is just a fair idea that I can give you on how to structure your first slide, the introduction slide, where you need to look at give inputs on the industry background and what is the problem, what is the key question. So these things. So this is something which you can take as a baseline and work on. So Vignesh, if you have something to add, or else we can go to the next slide.
Yeah, introduction pretty much covered. We can go to the next slide.
Yeah. So this is the make or break of round one. So even if you guys come to Avalon and work with us, the first thing that we do in any client or whatever project we work in is building the issue tree. So even in our evaluation pattern, if we just look at the issue tree, we'll be able to understand, have you guys understood the problem or not? So this is a make or break slide. So issue tree should be holistic in nature, first of all. So that is what we call as MISI. So Abe asked me to explain a bit on that. So MISI is nothing but you need to ensure all the problems, all the issues that are given in the problem statement has been written down, and they should not it should be consolidated. It should be kind of exclusive in nature. So if I have to tell, so I gave an example previously. So there should not be any imperatives inside each one. So each issue should be a unique one, and all the issues should be covered. So that is the MISI approach. So when we talk about issue tree, so I will just give you a small example of the issue tree that we built during our round one. So Vignesh, if you can just move on to the next slide, it will be easier for me to explain the issue tree.
Yes, just a moment.
Yeah. Yeah. No, not this one.
1 minute. Maybe we can explain with the levels for now. We can add it later.
No, no, I think the issue tree should be there in the slide. Is it not there?
Okay, just it is hidden. 1 minute. Can you stop and reshare?
Yes, yes, you can reshare this.
Yeah, so in between Vignesh getting to pull out the slides. So one thing so I'll just give you a small introduction to the case that we solved. Yeah, so our case was more revolved around there was a problem in a supply demand. So we had the industry of renewable natural gas, where the input was agricultural raw material, agricultural waste, which was the raw material for producing natural gas. So there was extreme supply available, but the demand was also good, but the demand was never met. So there was a gap in that. So we had to solve for that gap. So that was the problem that we were solving last year. So now I'll just show you the issue tree and explain how we built the issue tree.
Just give a moment.
So guys, in the meantime, you would have some questions about the current case from Avalon side. You can ask your doubts here on the comment section or chat box. We'll take it up in Q&A. Okay.
Also, meanwhile, once it is getting uploaded, I would like to explain more about how to approach the overall presentation. See, basically, whenever you want to write a content, right, divide and conquer is the key. Overall, just split the work based on your expertise or area for comfort. Someone may be good at financial, market study, or someone at slide making and storytelling, data analysis, number crunching, and so on. So choose based on your area of expertise and split the work. Also, the time management is the key. Whether you know or don't know, it really doesn't matter. More the time you spend on a content, more the value addition you do through the slides. Hope now it is visible. Yes. Vaishna, you can explain with this.
Yes. Yeah. Uh, yes. So as I told the case that we solved for, so it's about so paddy straw is the agriculture waste that I spoke about. So we bucketed. So look, there will be lot of issues in a given problem statement. You will come across 10, 12, 15 issues as well. So it is more important to structure the issues. So that is the first point in consulting. So you go to in any consulting firm, the first thumb rule, why does a client come to us? Why can't the client only solve the issue? It's because the management consulting companies do have a very structural way and experience in solving problems. Yeah. So if you see the chance of you guys coming into the next round is basically based on how well are you able to structure the issues. You need to bucket the issues, or else if there is no structure, then you won't be able to solve a problem irrespective of if you're a consultant or you work in any other organization. Structuring is the key to solving, right? So we structured it into three baskets. If you can see, quality, cost, and availability. So in quality, there were two major issues that we saw. One is the density of the material, and next is the moisture and the dust content. When we talk about cost, the raw material cost, transportation cost, and storage cost, these three were major issues. And in availability, there were again 3 different issues. So if you can see, there is a proper structure. So we have a major problem, which is the procurement of paddy straw as an issue. From there, we have found 3 major issues, and each of those issues were then segmented into 2 or 3 different issues. Then we looked at what are the reasons for those issues, right? So now you have a proper issue tree. You have the root cause, and you have all the issues that is causing the major problem. So now once you're done the issue tree, next thing you will be moving on is building a hypothesis. So based on the issues that you have put across, so towards the right end of this tree are all the cause for an issue. So now we have to create a hypothesis. What is the real cause for the issue? So that is your hypothesis. So I will explain more about hypothesis. Can you just move to the next slide, Vignesh? Yeah. Yeah. So first of all, a hypothesis is not a question, or it is not a fact. It is your instinct. For example, an hypothesis is just a mere statement. I will give a small example here. So if I say we are a cement manufacturer, and we see that there is a huge downtime in the production process. So the hypothesis can be the downtime in the production can be due to inefficiency of the workforce. So this is a statement. This is my hypothesis. So if I say this is my hypothesis, my next process should be, should I accept the hypothesis or should I reject the hypothesis? So to accept or reject a hypothesis, you need to create analysis. You need to capture data points, right? So this is how a hypothesis should be. You cannot a hypothesis cannot be improving the labor training can increase the efficiency of the plant. This is not a hypothesis. This is a recommendation. Understand the difference between a question, a recommendation, and a hypothesis. Hypothesis is a statement that you can accept or you can reject. So based on whatever problems and the causes we found out in the issue tree, we have built a hypothesis for each. If you can see, we saw that moisture content was a major issue. So we have put in a hypothesis for that. For example, okay, aging of the paddy straw could be one of the reason for higher moisture content. So this is a hypothesis. We feel that aging could be the reason. So, but we have to find out, is aging the reason or not? Same way for all the issues that we looked at. So, Vignesh, can you just go to the issue tree once again? Yeah. So in the issue tree, if you could see, we have put a top priority. So as I told, there can be 10, 15 issues. You will also need to understand what are the priority issues. You can't solve for all. Potentially, when you are a consultant, you need to solve for all. But during the case competition, you can't solve for everything. You have to solve only for the important ones. So you have to capture the priority problems. You need to understand, you need to have an understanding that, look, these are the major problems that affect the bigger picture. So I will find solution for these things. If I solve for these 60-70% of the problems are solved. So you have to find those kind of issues and you have to build a hypothesis for that. If you get into the business of creating a hypothesis for all of these problems, then you will run out of time, right? So we had 5 or 6 top priority issues, and we built hypothesis only for those 5 to 6 issues. So now go to the issue hypothesis tree. Yeah. So if you can see all the priority issues that we took from there, so we have put our instinct. What could have been the reason? This was the reason, or that was the reason, is what we have put. So it's very small. I'm not able to read it out. So I think you guys will be able to. Yeah. So for example, we'll take a small example in storage. So we found storage to be an issue. So in storage, there is low availability and high leasing cost of the local storage lands. This is a hypothesis. Now I have to test the hypothesis. Is low availability really there? Is the leasing cost really high? So to do this, I need more data. So in round 1, what you have to do is, once you build this hypothesis, I think you can also devote a slide where you can ask for what are the data points that you're looking for in the next round. So that is something which we did. So we told them, ki, look, this is the hypothesis that we have built. To reject or accept this hypothesis, we want some data points. So these are all the questions or data points that we require to further analyze this. This is what we gave in the round one. Right. So I think we have a strong understanding of what a hypothesis is and how to prioritize issue and how to build hypothesis for the prioritized issues. And for each issue, there can be multiple hypotheses. You have to look into that as well. For example, okay, so the problem, I'll keep it more generalistic because I've been taking examples of all manufacturing because I come from that background. So now, okay, so if I say the problem is some X person is diagnosed with cancer, my hypothesis could either be uh, it can either be a generational issue. He caught up cancer because it was some issue with his generations, or his lifestyle is not right. He had a smoking habit. He was an alcoholic. These are all my hypothesis to the issue. So now I have to analyze. So if I have to say he's a smoker, I need to understand, does he smoke or not? So if he doesn't smoke, I can reject the hypothesis directly. So each issue will have multiple hypotheses. Understand that. It's not that one issue will have only one hypothesis. Hypothesis is only that your instinct, what could be the problem. There can be, again, there can be 10, 15 factors that can affect the problem, the issue, that can cause the issue. But you again need to be smart in understanding what are the priorities. For example, here the storage issue, we have put five hypotheses. We came across 10, 12 hypotheses, but we zeroed down on the most impactful hypothesis. Again, if you put 10, 15, no one is going to read it. You need to understand which are the ones which are affecting the problem, which has a higher impact towards the problem, and put them only here. Right. So I think here your round one will be over. So you have got a now good understanding on how to build a issue tree and how to build a hypothesis from the issue tree, and so how to prioritize the issues and how to prioritize your hypothesis and how to build one. So for round one, this is done. So once this is done, from next slide onwards, we look at how to accept or reject a hypothesis. Yes, Vignesh, if you have something to add, you can add, or else we can move forward.
Yeah, like one more point, like Vaishnav pretty much explained on issue tree as well as hypothesis. One more point I would like to add is, let's take how to approach this. You may not able to get the final structure at the starting itself, right? Just allow your thought process to entirely go through it. Whatever point comes to your mind, just write it. Make a note of it. Example in this case, whatever you are seeing on the rightmost end, right? Each of the point we would have written it first, then try to group it. Either it could be top down approach or bottom up approach. What is top down approach? Again, let's take this paddy star issue. Quality, cost and availability is an issue. What are all the parameters which can affect cost? That could be the question you can ask, and it will lead to level ones. Okay. Next level, raw material cost could be a potential reason for increasing in cost, right? So now let's put the question on what are all the potential raw material cost increasing reasons. So it will have it each of the vertical. So this is kind of top down approach while attending a issue tree. Whereas in the kind of bottom up approach is that you also don't eliminate the random thought process which you have. Whatever comes to your mind, write everything. Later try to group it. Later try to put in each of these buckets. Sometimes the structured thought process may not work. Just allow your thought process to write most of the point. Later you can bucket it. So that's pretty much applicable for issue tree as well as hypothesis. That's it, Vaishna.
Yeah. Brilliant. We can move forward. Yeah. So the next three things is, once you built a hypothesis, there are only two options for you. Either you accept the hypothesis and move forward, or you reject the hypothesis. So to do that, you need to gather data. And it is not very sure that Avalon Consulting is going to give all the data which you want, because your hypothesis could be a really good one for which you would get a data directly from Avalon in the second round. So Avalon will be giving out only data which they feel are more important. So you can't go and tell them, look, I have this hypothesis. So to check this hypothesis, I need this data. maybe that's not relevant. That's why they didn't give the data, which means your hypothesis is not something which is relatively a good one. So you have to cancel it out. So whatever data points are given in the case will be holistic. You can't go and ask for more data points. You can either try to do a secondary research around it to eliminate or to accept the hypothesis. So gathering data will be a pain point if you don't get enough data in the second round of the case. You need to do more secondary research, more research papers, annual reports, talking to your industry experts, talking to alums in the same industry. So this is how you can do that, and you have to have a very clear justification on why did you accept or why did you reject the hypothesis, right? So once you get the data points, so next thing is you have to create KPIs, key performance indicators. So there should be some benchmark to accept or reject the hypothesis. So for example, if you say the cost for production is high, how much high is it? Is it in how much in relative to the industry? If for example your competitor is doing it at X rupees and you do it at 1.2x, so is it a good one or not? It's not good. So you should accept the hypothesis that your cost is higher. So you need to calculate KPIs based on the data that you get, and then you have to compare it or create a benchmark based on secondary research or talking to industry experts. So you'll get a baseline that is your hypothesis which you created is right or not. So based on that, you will be able to eliminate certain hypotheses. So at the end, only 3 or 4 hypotheses will be accepted from what we have done from our past experience, and also what my experience at Avalon. So is that you will only be solving for 3 or 4 legs of the hypothesis, not more than that. And also in the case comp, I think it will be even lesser, 2 to 3. If you take 2 to 3 good hypotheses and move forward, it will be good. So once you take up 2 to 3 accepted hypotheses, so you have clearly found the root cause of the problem. So whatever cause you told as a hypothesis is the root cause now, because you have validated it with data and you have justified it. So now you have to find a solution for that hypothesis. So for example, if you say there is more attrition in the company due to bad employee policies, and you looked at the attrition rate, you looked at the employee policies, and you benchmarked it against your competitors and saw that yes, in the industry standard is X and we are 1.3x. So you're 30% higher compared to your industry standards, which is basically an issue. And you look at the employee benefits, it is not that great. So this is your hypothesis, which is a root cause. Now, how will you find a solution for this? So that is something which I can't comment more on, because that is something which you have to work on. You have to find the solution, right? But some things that you need to align with while finding a solution is, first of all, ensure that be realistic. Look, at Avalon, we don't look at solutions. You'd come and tell, use Gen AI, use this technology, use Industry 4.0. So it's not the way we want people to approach a problem. It even if Industry 4.0 or implementation of technology is the solution, how easily is it implementable into the industry? Or how can you implement it? We need a clear, kind of very, very clear understanding of the solution. We don't want vague answers where you will come and tell improve sustainability by reducing this, reducing that. No, that's not something we're looking for in a solution. So we look for very simple and implementable solution. Explain the solution in detail, how we are going to do it, how this will impact. There should be a financial justification for a solution. What is the kind of money that we need, the client needs to invest? If he's going to invest this much of money, how much of money is he going to get back? So all these things should be in your mind while finding a solution. A good solution is one which thinks of return on investment and return on capital employed. So ROCE is the keyword that you will come across any industry, any client once you're into consulting. Return on capital employed. Think about your solution from that aspect. So that is what I can tell about the solution. It's up to you guys to create your own solutions. So once you guys are done with solutions, you guys need to move with the implementation of the solution. So yeah, so here you need to, if I have to tell from a consulting point of view, if you guys know what a balance scorecard is, so that is what implementation is. Or else you guys can just go and Google what a balance scorecard is. So balance scorecard is basically a book where they talk about how a strategy can be converted into reality. So that's where the implementation plays the ploy. So you guys also need to give a proper implementation strategy. If this is your solution, how are you going to implement it? What are the resources that you will be requiring for this implementation? What will be the timeline? Kind of a Gantt chart. And what will be the capital expenditure for the client? So what are the limitations that we look at in your implementation plan? So how will you set the KPIs during implementation? And what are the innovative things that you will use for implementing it? uh, you have to give at least one full slide for implementation with the proper timeline. So yeah, so this is about it. If Vignesh, can you just pull out a couple of slides on implementation that we have? They will have a the Gantt chart or the implementation slide that we made. Is it available? Can you pull them out?
Not here, but I will just
Yeah. And guys, so whenever at the end of the day, when you build a solution, the last slide, try to build a financial projection or a growth plan for the company. So basically, they had some issue. You found out what are the issues. You created a hypothesis. You analyze, you gather data. You analyze data. You accepted or rejected the hypothesis. After that, you found solutions for all the accepted hypothesis. Then you gave an implementation plan. This is all fine. What if these things doesn't work well? So you have to create scenarios. At least create three scenarios: one optimistic, one realistic, one pessimistic, and tell. Oh, so it is based on the problem. So if you're going to increase capacity utilization, talk in terms of capacity utilization. If you're going to increase sales, talk in terms of sales. Or if you're going to reduce cost, talk in terms of how you're going to reduce cost. Take three approaches. What will be the financial projections for that? What will be the investment required in these things? How will it burn out? If it goes really well, how much money the company will make? If it is okay, how much money the company will make? If this fails, what will happen? Give a clear projection on that. So we also made a scenario analysis for a solution. I think Vignesh will show that to you guys, so you guys will get a bit of more understanding on why it is important to build scenarios. Because not any expert in any industry, whenever he does a projection, it's not that it's going to be very accurate. There can be disruptions and there can be uncertainty around us. So we always have to look at different scenarios while giving a solution. So it will make a solution more holistic. So the judges will be like, okay, these guys have thought through the solution. So that is something. Yes. So I think this
So,
holistically covers for all the round up to the round three. So we'll
so
show you some
Vyshna,
examples. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, meanwhile, Vignesh is handling the PPT thing. We can take up a few questions in the comment.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
So, yeah, first question is from Deepan. What is the difference between a situation and a conflict? It looks similar. I don't
No, I
think
didn't get what is the difference between
between situation and conflict.
situation and conflict. Okay. Okay.
Uh,
So he's asking about, I think, situation and complication, if I'm not wrong.
yeah, but he has written conflict, but complications you can take it up. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, okay. So, Vignesh, can you just move on to that slide? In the meanwhile, when you're pulling out the other,
slide is, yeah.
the the second or third slide where the question comes from. After this, the slide after this. No, not this. Okay, okay, that's fine. No issues. So, to answer your question, I will take a pull out example here. Okay. Okay, so let's take Dunzo as an example here. I hope most of you guys will be knowing what Dunzo is and what kind of a downturn they are looking at now. So if we talk about situation, we can say currently Dunzo is nearing bankruptcy. That is the situation of Dunzo. Dunzo has less than 5 months of business operation money required. They have just 500 crores, which can sustain them in the business for 5 years, for 5 months. So that is the current situation of Dunzo. So what is the complication? The complication for Dunzo is that one of the founder has left the company. Second, so why is that a complication? So since one founder has gone out, if Dunzo has to pull in more money from the investors won't be confident. They will tell, "Arey, what is this? Your founder has left your business and you are asking for money from us. Why should we give you?" So that is a complication. Second complication is Reliance Retail has invested around 200 million US dollars, but they will have veto powers. So they will have powers on the decisions that Dunzo takes. So that is the complication. So any decision that Dunzo has to take, they have to get the approval of Reliance Retail. So that is again a complication. So a situation is something the client is currently positioned at. A complication is something which is putting on more issues onto your current situation. That's how you need to look at it.
Yeah, greatly explained, Vaishnav. So moving on to the next question, it is how to get to the correct hypothesis. You explained the hypothesis tree, but there were, I think, so many hypotheses that you have built. But how to get it to the correct hypothesis is asked by one of the member.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So to be very frank, in the first shot, you won't be able to get to the correct hypothesis because you are not going to interact with the client. You will only have a problem statement in hand. So you guys need to build a hypothesis based on your instinct. So once you get more data points and more information in round two, with that information and data point, you will get more clarity. Okay, the problem more lies towards this area. The problem more lies in this function. Then it will give you a heads up. So these are the hypotheses which are more important. From there, for example, you have 50 hypotheses made in round one, and based on the data points and other informations that you get in round two, you can tell, okay, these five are the most important hypotheses. I don't have to care about the rest 45 hypotheses. So that is how it is. So once you get more information in round two, you will start uh, kind of getting more clarity on what is the major hypothesis.
Okay, I think the same question was asked by Ananya. And the
Okay.
third question from Saurabh was, is that what should we add in the annexures?
Yeah, in annexures, what you can do is what we did was we kind of put in all the hypotheses that we came across. So I told you we prioritized issues from the issue tree and put only those hypotheses for only those. But in the appendix, we did put all the hypotheses that we came across. We also did put all the key informations or data points that we collected to for the hypothesis. And also, look, at the end of the day, you will have very less time to present in the grand final. So at that
Hmm.
point of time, you can't put all your analysis in the slide. You have to put only the outcome. So whatever analysis you do, everything do it in a proper method, proper Excel sheet, link the Excel sheet in the PPT, keep it in the appendix. If any of the panel member asks, how did you arrive at this solution? How did you come to this number? From where did this number come? Then you directly take them to the appendix. So keep all your calculations handy in the appendix. But for round one, I don't think appendix matters much.
Okay, I think we can
We are,
move ahead with the implementation plan.
yes.
Yeah. I think Vignesh, you can explain a bit about the implementation plan. Need not be specific to the case. You can just give a
Yes.
generalistic approach because the cases this year are very different.
Okay, exactly. See, I will just give you an overview of what are all the topics we have covered under implementation plan. See, basically, whatever we are suggesting, right, it should be in a phase-wise manner. So, if you see, even though we have taken the case for next 5 years, let's take from 2023 to 2028, still you can see the dotted line over here, right? So, we are just showing it in three phases. One, we call it as a test phase, then as a growth phase, then as a standardization phase. So phase wise approach are the one which is usually recommended, I would say, because initially the first phase could be some solution in the case of low hanging fruits, and the growth phase could be It's a more of a very aggressive phase. It's a capital intensive phase where the companies will be investing of more monies and the return also will be of the more. Whereas in the case of later the long term growth phase or the standardization phase, it is just to ensure that no one else is following this and we are up to the competition and all those kind of strategy you can basically cover over this kind of phases. One more thing why we have not added all the slides initially was anyway our presentation entire presentation is already available in Avalon YouTube page. So just in case if anyone interested, you can watch the entire presentation. So that's why we thought not to cover the presentation, that will be duplication of the things. But just for a view, I can show you. So nextly, you can see what are all the things we have covered. Now we are just categorizing each of this phase-wise strategies into activities across different segment. You can see we just simply posted a Gantt chart. This is more of a verbose, but each of the point here is really important. That's what we have aligned over. So other than that, then we just came something like what are the different kinds of model which we are using. You can see over here, right? Yeah, it is reflecting. So what are all the model, what are all the collaboration plan we have? This you need to read through the previous year case. So I'm not going much deeper into it. So what are all the policy level support, financial level support, what are all the other factors required? Because this is more of like a capital intensive business. There are three different business model which we were proposing towards the end, and then something on the implementation plan of each of the suggesting stages. As usual, a little bit on the technological touch to it. We have also proposed on digital solution aspects to it. And also, I would always suggest that in addition to the implementation plan, right, just go for a mitigation strategy or a mitigation plan. Because let's take, if you are suggesting something like, okay, boss, like you are going to invest like $3 to $4 billion over here. What if something went wrong? Am I really making sense with my feasibility of the solution? So that's how we would suggest. Again, that is not with respect to the first round. Towards the final round, you guys can just think about it. What are all the mitigation plans we have? We have the stakeholder matrix and all, action plan of each of the categorizations. Then yeah, this pretty much cover the mitigation plan. More and more details you can go through the YouTube video just in case if you want. So this is with respect to the overall input related to the implementation plan. Also, particularly in a case competition, there is no right or wrong answer, right? The approach you have toward the case matters. How you get there matters, because even we all three belongs to the same team. We will have a different thought process, and finally we will agree to go ahead with one thought process where we can discuss more, where we see less of a counteractive questions, where we can put more data towards our action plan. So that's what company is expecting. Also, it is true in corporate also. There is no right or wrong strategy. Sometimes company may prefer to go organically or inorganically. Sometimes they may go ahead and construct a new plant on their own, new facility on their own. Whereas some company prefer to just get into M&A, merger and acquisition with some other company. They would like to take over with some existing player. So again, these are like different strategy. There is no right or wrong in corporate also. So how can that be applicable in our case competition? This is a small business problem which a corporate is facing, right? So think of from that perspective, the approach matters, the feasibility of the solution. Those are all the key in cracking the case competitions, I would say. So this is more on these aspects. Also, I would like to touch upon different aspects, not just with respect to these case competition in general. Let's take after forming the team and all, after like discussing the problem statement, whatever it is, after allocating the work, have discussion multiple times, have frequent brainstorming and catch up session among your team members to ensure the progress of the work. Also, don't focus on the allocated work and all. If some of your team member or some of the respective work has to be done, if you are having more of a bandwidth, just try to put in more effort over there. Also, do ready with your final slide just at least one day before or at least 4 hours before. I know it's difficult with MBA schedules and all, but I would suggest try to do that. Last minute changes, anything can happen while collating the final draft. Put more attention to each and every details and ensure all of you sit together and review it together, right? So these are all the several key things, and also some guidance on the slide making. You use proper color usage, don't put some random colors. We have also chosen this kind of theme. You can see that Sun Tzu refers to some kind of battle, and also we thought something Japanese, Chinese related things. So that's where the concept we thought to just bring it upon. On theme based lights, color based light. Let's take if you are using Flipkart and this kind of things, and I'll have a yellow and blue kind of combination. So small attention. So give attention to those details. Also add more detail for submission round and less of a content for a presentation round. These are two different aspects you need to take upon, because in a submission round you may not able to actually present the things, right? So whatever you want to tell, just put it over there. At the same time, don't be verbose. But if someone who is out of your entire team who is working on it, if they read it, they should be able to make more sense about it. Don't just have the pre-context that the readers who will be reading this also may know it, right? So think of it from that perspective. Also, in a presentation round, don't be much verbose. That is a key. Use some bulletin points. Then only you can able to get more attention of what you are. First, it should be the summary, not even the summary. It should give a keyword of what you are about to speak. You can explain about it. Sometimes you may be running out of time, and more and more slides you go, so properly time the entire presentation. Just in case if you're lacking out of time, you can just touch upon the bulletins, because really presentation time there will be lot of issues coming here and there, so just plan for it. And if there are more content in your slide, I would suggest use some kind of animation, not completely. Don't make it like a zigzag, it is coming here every now and then. That also won't look good, right? So use some kind of minimalistic animation to gather attention of the reader over what you are showing. Or you can use laser pointers, and also these are the some of the things which I would like to say. And overall, yeah, Vaishna, anything you want to cover over here before that final summary?
Oh, no, nothing else. So you have given all the grammar part. So on top of that, one thing is once I hope most of you guys in this call move on to the final. If so, uh, do a rehearsal at least 2 3 times. Why I say this is because uh, in the final we will be calling our clients. So our clients are basically all the CXOs from all different big companies in India. So last year we had some 4 to 5 CEOs who joined the final, who are the panel members. So when you're going to present in that kind of a elite membership leadership team, so there should not be any mishaps. So always do a rehearsal. I do understand you guys will be working on different case competitions, as this window of the year is hectic for you guys. But then focus on one or two. You can't win everything. Okay, so that there will be a couple of people who can win everything, but then what I say is it's better to have more focus on 1 2 3 max, right? So prioritize, understand what role they offer, and based on those things, your internal factors, everything, and then go for it. It's like you just don't go and put your finger into all the case comms and don't tell I was not able to win anything. So you need to have a clear focus on which ones you want to do, which PPI you're interested in, things like that. So that is something which I wanted to tell at the end.
Yeah, actually,
Yes, just
there are two questions remaining. So one has clearly answered by Vaishna about the time management, and the last question is that how to find the top priority issues from the issue tree to further build hypothesis. So if you can highlight this answer.
Yeah,
okay.
definitely. Okay, Vignesh, go on.
Yeah, see, basically, if you see, relevancy matters a lot in that issue tree, because as we told, the issue tree is all about what are all the, again, if you someone would have done the Six Sigma and all, you might be knowing this. There are something called as what are all the probable causes, possible causes, root causes, right? So probable causes is anything can be relevant. Again, possible causes is these are the things which I presume that it is more of a relevant, and root cause are the things which will be there for sure, which is causing this problem. So this is how you need to see, and sometimes the instinct which you with which you can go, okay, this could be the potential reason. And again, secondary shortcut will be like go through, read the case again. If you read the case, the kind of here and there, the kind of words, the keywords which they have given, right? In our case itself, they were kind of telling us more of a storage related issues what we are like expecting, more of this kind of RM related issues. So that's how you can cross check whether the entire storyline what you are telling on what in the case which is given, does it make sense. So in a way you can cross check, but other than that, Misi approach will be of helpful. If you see, if you write all the points at the end, most of the point will combine and collectively it make a bigger approach. If you can't able to finalize a third level pointer as a potential reason, go back to the second level pointer, make it a reason, because the second level issue will be reason of 5 or 10 of the sub level issues. So anyway, if not all 10 of them will be covered, at least 7 or at least 5 of them will cover. So that makes your issue more of a valid. Vaishna, you can add.
Yeah, one more thing to what Vignesh told is you need to look at the relevance, is what he told. And in terms of relevance, there are two things. There will be some issues that are internal to the organization and that are external to the organization. Look, if the sales of your company is going down, it can be either because your salesmen are not doing a great job. It can also be the consumers are consuming less, right? So you can't go and control the consumer. You can only control your sales guys, right? Or you tell the competitor is doing a far better job. You can go and control your competitor. So look at controllables. So at least in the case competition, you need to look for controllable things. So prioritize issues that can be controlled by you. If there's economic turbulence, you can't control. If there's a COVID outbreak, you can't control, right? So look at things that are very much very internal to the company. That's one thing. And second thing is look at things that can realistically be improved. For example, if they say the industry standards for capacity utilization in the pharma industry is 95 percentage and your client is at 90 percentage, he's just 5% away from his the industry standards. So that is not something which is a very big issue. So you need to have that. You need to have some benchmarks based on which you will tell, okay, this is not a very big issue. Okay, this is a very smaller issue only. So that is how you need to come to the priorities.
Uh, Thank you, Vaishnav and Vignesh, for explaining this question. I think there are no more questions. I think we can end this session right now. Thank you once again for partnering with Grad Partners for explaining the tips and tricks of Sun Tzu Avalon case competition, and also you have shared your experiences that you had with that case competition journey. And also, I would like to tell you that we have seen a participation of more than 60 students on this live session. So it is a great achievement from Grad Partners, and we thank you again, guys, for helping us achieving this. And also, I would like to say that your students, you can we also have some more master classes planned in coming up weekends. So you can subscribe to our channel to get in updated with these master classes. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Abhi. Thank you for having us. And one last point to motivate you guys. So this year, Avalon has also increased the price pool. It is somewhere around 6.5 lakhs, the price pool. And you have more motivation now to work on Avalon case comp. And we are really looking forward to great submissions. And I also be part of the evaluation panel. And I'm looking forward to look at the brilliant solutions that you will be coming up with.
Great, great. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. All the best, guys. And just to cover, participate in more on multiple competition of different types, be it college level or at corporate level. Get experience with the process multiple times. At the end of the day, this is where the real learning, real friendship, real knowledge you will get out of the entire B school, I would say. Other than that, the subjects and books has been there quite long time and you will be reading it. You may read it later also. Only during this 2 years, even like let's take now I want to I'm more interested with that prize money of 6.5 lakhs. Still, can I am I eligible to really participate over there? It's really a different question. Again, before closing, Avalon really do give a good PPO PPA offer. I also got a PPA offer, but before that I have already converted my PPO. I think last year all of the finalists got the PPA. Is it Vaishna?
No. Only the top three teams will be getting the direct PPIs, and there'll be we'll also extend few PPIs for the finalists as well. If we feel someone who has done a great job during presentation, we'll definitely give them a PPI.
Yes, that's what, because in the last competition when we were there, I could recall that in addition to what was told, we have also extended up the offers and also really it's a good opportunity. So have a good bit over there. So put more effort, more time, all the very best.
All the best, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.